Welcome to this third lecture of Introduction to Logic. We were discussing the nature of deductive argument, and we saw in the preceding lecture that the arguments which provide conclusive support to their conclusion or absolute support to their conclusion are called deductive arguments. We have also seen that the arguments involve statements as their basic constituents. Whether premises or conclusion, they all are statements, right? So a deductive argument contains statements. We have also seen that a statement is either true or false. Similarly, we have seen that a deductive argument is either valid or invalid. Now, a natural question arises that what could be the relationship between the truth value of the statements participating in the argument and the value of the whole argument, that is the validity of the whole argument. So we have started our exploration into the relationship between truth and validity. And in the end of the previous lecture, we have seen that an argument, a deductive argument, could be valid with all the statements true. So we have seen this example that all TV news channels are media companies. NDTV is a news channel. Therefore, NDTV is a media company. This is a valid argument and all its statements are true. That is why it is also called a sound argument. Similarly, we tried to see whether there could be a deductive argument which is invalid. So all its statements are true. And to reflect on that point, we have seen this argument, where we see some politicians are dishonest. It is true. Some dishonest persons are farmers. That is also true. Therefore, some politicians are farmers. This is also true. But this argument is not valid. So what we will draw from this example? The statements could be true, merely the truth of a statement cannot make the argument valid. This example demonstrates this, that despite the fact that all its statements are true, the argument is not valid. But it could be valid also, like in this case. So the truth of statements, if all the statements are true, we cannot with certainty say that argument is valid or invalid. So you need to underline this statement that it is not necessary that if all statements of any argument are true, then argument must be valid. No. All statements may be true, but argument could be valid or invalid. Let us explore some other possibility. Consider this argument. All monkeys are donkeys. All cows are monkeys. Therefore, all cows are donkeys. This is such a nonsensical argument. All monkeys are donkeys. This is false, obviously false. All cows are monkeys. Again, completely false statement. Therefore, all cows are donkeys. This is also false statement. All the statements of this deductive argument are false. But what about its validity? Without puzzling you more, let me tell you, this is a valid argument, despite the fact that all its statements are false. It's a valid argument. Just through intuition, you can see it. Imagine if premise 1 was true, if all monkeys are donkeys was a true statement. Similarly, if all cows are monkeys, if this was also a true statement, just imagine a situation. Have you been able to deny the truth of this statement? If premise 1 was true, premise 2 was true, then you will have to accept that conclusion is also true. But as a matter of fact, all these are false. But since it has this character that if you accept premise 1 and premise 2 as true, you cannot say that conclusion is false. It is that compulsion which makes it valid. And we will learn after a while the rules which are showing that this is clearly a valid argument. Now consider this argument. All politicians are honest. Completely false statement, given the situation of our country. All mad people are politicians. Some politicians are sane, so let us not say that all mad people are politicians. But certainly there are some mad, that is for sure. Some mad people are there in politics. But not all mad people. Some mad people are in Agra and Jhansi or in Ranchi mental asylum. So all mad people are politicians. That is also false. And consider the conclusion. All honest are mad people. What about this? Is it true or false? In fact, those who are very honest, people call them mad. People call them impractical. But not going into that funny remark, all honest are mad people. That is not true. So all statements of this argument are false. The way all statements of this argument were false. But this argument is not valid. The first argument, this was valid. But in the same situation where all its statements are false, this is not valid. And after learning rules, we will see that how it is not valid. But trust me, this is invalid. Now, what you draw from this situation? All statements are false, argument is valid. All statements are false, argument is invalid. Which means that it is not necessary that if all statements of an argument are false, you can with certainty say that this is invalid. And also you cannot confidently say that this is valid, which means that if all statements of an argument are false, again we are in the predicament that we cannot say with certainty that argument is valid or invalid. In certain cases, it could be valid. In other cases, it could be invalid. Like in this case, it is valid. In this case, it is not valid. All right, let us see another example. Try to understand again, explore further relationship between truth of these statements and the validity of an argument. Consider this argument. All stones are animals. All cows are stones. All cows are animals. Look at this argument. All stones are animals. Completely false? You agree? All cows are stones. Again, a very stupid statement. Obviously false. What about the conclusion? I forgot to write here therefore. Therefore, you write therefore, all cows are animals. This is true, isn't it? All cows are actually animals. What about the truth values of these? Both the premises are false. The conclusion is true. And now tell me whether this argument is valid or not. Just think. Through intuition, just try to see whether this argument is valid or not. What intuition you will apply? It is plain. If you accept that premises are true, you cannot deny the conclusion. If this condition is satisfied by any argument, it can be called valid. Now, conclusion is true, of course, factually true. But if we derive this conclusion from these two, it is a good derivation. Just imagine if all stones were animals and all cows were stones, then you could have very easily derived this, that all cows are animals, right? So this is a valid argument. What is the situation here? The premises are false, conclusion is true, and the argument is valid. Look at this argument. All cats are animals. This is true. All dogs are animals. This is also true. Now consider this. Therefore, all dogs are cats. What about this argument? All cats are animals. This is true. All dogs are animals. This is also true. And the conclusion claims that all dogs are cats. This is false, right? Here, the premises are true. Conclusion is false. Now tell me whether this argument is valid or not. And you need to apply the same intuition, right? If you accept that this is true, if you accept that this is true, can you accept that conclusion is also true on these grounds? Grounds of premise 1 and premise 2. You can't accept, right? And this argument is therefore definitely invalid. the premises are true, but its conclusion is false. Therefore, this argument is invalid. And from this situation, we derive the validity, the notion of validity. Now, look at this argument. Here we have seen that the premises are false, the conclusion is true, but the argument is valid. Now, can you think of, this is your assignment, this is your homework. Can you think of an argument where the premises are false in the same situation? The premises are false, but the conclusion is true and the argument is intuitively invalid. In this case, it is valid in fact, but I ask all of you to try to formulate an argument where the premises are false, but the conclusion is true and the argument is invalid. How will you decide that this is invalid? Just imagine a situation where the premises become true, and on that ground, whether you can accept the conclusion as true or not. If you can, then it is valid, as it is the case with this argument. But if you can't, then the argument will be invalid. So formulate an argument where the premises are false, conclusion is true, still it is invalid. So in this case also, you will see that when the premises are false, conclusion is true, you cannot with confidence, you cannot say that the argument is valid or invalid. But when you have this situation where the premises are true, but the conclusion is false, with all certainty, you can say that this is invalid. So here you got a definite response. In the earlier cases, when all the statements were true, you could not say whether argument is valid or invalid. Similarly, when all statements were false, you could not say that it is invalid or valid. In the other case here, when premises are false, conclusion is true, again, you are not in a position to say with certainty that it is valid or invalid. But here, when the argument has true premises with false conclusion, you with certainty say that it is invalid. Now from here, we find a link between the truth of the statements of an argument and the validity, the structure of the argument, right? So this cannot be the case that the premises are true, conclusion is false, and argument is valid. That cannot be the case. When the premises are true, conclusion is false, then argument must be invalid. It will be invalid. And this becomes our foundation to define the notion of validity. Here in a table, I tried to present the previous discussion. It is the same that if premises are true, conclusion is also true, argument could be valid or it could be invalid. Similarly, if premises are false, conclusion is true, argument could be valid or invalid. And if all the statements of an argument are false, argument again could be valid or invalid. But in this case, when the premises are true, but conclusion is false, there is a definite conclusion, there is a definite decision that argument is invalid. So from this, we define the notion of validity. It is this. In a deductive argument, it cannot be the case that the premises are true and conclusion is false and argument is valid. That cannot be the case. So we are denying that situation. But to have a positive definition, what we say, a deductive argument is valid when its premises and conclusion are so related that it is absolutely impossible for the premises to be true unless the conclusion is also true. You can say the same thing in so many ways. In a valid deductive argument, it is simply impossible to have true premises and false conclusion. An argument is valid when it is simply not possible that a false conclusion follows from the true premises. So you can have different formulations, but the notion is simple and it is this in a very precise way. So in the next video, we will consider your doubts, we will consider your questions, and also if you find anything interesting to remark, then we will consider that also. So let us stop here and you think over it and formulate your questions, formulate your doubts, put your doubts either on the comments in YouTube, or you can write in chat box during the class, online class sessions, or you can just email your doubts or questions to me. I will respond to them. So see you in the next class.